All right, welcome back. Dr. Vincent Olatunji joins us next here in the studios. He's the National Commissioner and CEO of Nigeria Data Protection Commission. Good morning, and thank you for coming on today.
Morning, thank you for having me.
So, has there been any fundamental difference from when it was a bureau to a commission for you?
Yes, a lot. Something as simple as joining the Global Privacy Assembly, of about 130 countries. When we were a bureau, we applied, that was last year, but they said we were just using a regulation in Nigeria, and more importantly, just a bureau. Rejected the application. But this year, about 3 weeks ago, we applied again, and we will be accredited as a member of that global privacy body. In terms of our powers, what we can do, very different. Now, we didn't have a law then. Now we have a law. The law is like giving you the authority to operate, the authority to work. And in terms of respect, the recognition locally and internationally, a lot of people ask, oh, we make business in Nigeria by having a law and the commission. But when we were a bureau, we were just using a regulation that was passed under the Act. So with this law, becoming the commission, a lot of things.
So how does that benefit the country and maybe companies here?
Yeah, if you look at Section 1H of the law, talks about global competitiveness of our businesses. A lot of countries, a lot of organizations that are outside Nigeria are not willing to do business with you. You don't have a data protection law. Because the issue of trust and confidence, whatever they do online, transactions, the trust and confidence that when I do a transaction online, when I carry out a transaction, there is that trust and belief that that transaction will go on seamlessly without any issue. Two, if there are issues in terms of identity theft, malicious use of your personal data, unauthorized access to your data, which you have shared with them, they have somewhere to go. They have a law that can actually protect them in terms of their privacy and their protection. So with all this, people that believe that yes, with the law and the Data Protection Authority, which is independent, they believe yes, there is more respect for what they do for their privacy and their protection of their personal data. So the difference is there now.
Have you had any recent case, and how was the enforcement? How did you resolve it?
Yes, between when we started and now, we've investigated about 10 organizations, banks, telcos, even a university, an insurance firm, a consulting firm. But our approach has always been for us to do the right thing in Nigeria. We don't want to start announcing our fines or penalties. But when we started with the first bank that we investigated, and for the fact that we even mentioned their name, stakeholders started withdrawing their shares, and customers started withdrawing their money. They're like, a lot of people don't even understand what we're talking about. The fact that, oh, this bank is being investigated, that bank is in trouble. Let me go and take my money from them. So now the approach now has been, we invite them. We have what we call pack with them. That's the actual conference to find out what actually happened. Was it deliberate? Was it because they didn't put in place enough measures to ensure the protection of privacy of their customers, or if there was an accident or if it was a mistake? Nobody is actually perfect. Then if they are ready to cooperate, we take them through remediation. But the most important thing to us is that culture of compliance, that we see it as a duty that I have to perform. What I have to do to ensure to enhance the trust and confidence of our customers, to ensure that we are in line with global best practice. So we take them through compliance, and we just tell them to pay their remediation fee instead of penalty, because the penalty is huge. It can be as low as 2%, as low as about 10 million, that's the highest maximum, and as high as 2% of your gross earnings for the year. If a company earned 100 billion last year, that ended to pay 2 billion to government. So that is huge. In fact, the bank that I was talking about, they actually came to us, they said, if you continue this way, almost all the top management of this time, this bank will go. And do you actually want people to lose jobs? No, we don't.
But did you consistently remind them of what the rules say? Don't fall foul of this, for those who claim ignorance?
Yes, it's part of, it's a major pillar on the agenda, awareness, which is really key, and capacity building for everybody in the ecosystem, for everybody in your organization to probably understand the issues around data privacy. For instance, you go to a bank, you want to collect your ATM card or bank draft or something. The next thing they do is to bring out a book.
Yeah.
You write your name, your telephone number, your account number, and you sign. Somebody can just get a snap. Already has access, unauthorized access to your information. And the following day, they are calling you to say, oh, you came to a bank yesterday, you carried out this transaction, now for you to complete the transaction or to ensure that your bank account is secured, you need to we'll send a code to you, What did it happen? You got they had unauthorized access to your information. So these are things you are telling organizations, even up to your messengers. That can be the weakest link in your organization. You need to let them know issues around data privacy. That's why awareness is really key. And we'll be doing a lot with them. We've actually met one-on-one with top management on banks. We had sessions with them. Since in Abuja, I talked to them, and because our video conferencing facilities top notch. And from their branches, in any part of it, they can connect. So awareness is really key, and this is part of what we try to tell them. And during the process of taking them through remediation, it's part of what we tell them. And even after paying your remediation fee, you still monitor for 6 months to ensure that you are doing the right thing. And the areas of non-conformity that we have identified that might have led to that breach, we ensure that you take care of them. By the time you are your DPCO, Data Protection Compliance Organization, these are people that we have licensed to carry out compliance on their behalf. By the time they are coming next year to do your compliance audit, those loopholes will have been blocked. You can't have non-conformity this year and you are still repeating the same thing next year. Definitely will take that up. So awareness is really key, and capacity building.
Well, initially when Chemeli asked about companies, I shot him a look from here because I would have been thinking that the focus would have been individuals. I know that, yes, companies are also seeking to, have their own data protected as well. I mean, information and what it is that they're able to gather is very important to them. Ministries, departments, and agencies of government too will also be seeking that. But the most vulnerable of the lot are individuals. And we've seen that, cybercrime, fraud, etc., seem to be on the rise in Nigeria. It's becoming a problem. Even the EFCC seems to be focusing more along those lines as well. But while you're working, because I don't know where you have the biggest challenge, is it at that micro level that you have the biggest challenge? Or is it at the macro, let's say the mid-level, when you're dealing with companies, ministries, departments, and agencies?
Now, in this data privacy ecosystem, there are 4 major stakeholders. One is the data subject, that is you and I, over 200 million Nigerians. They now belong to different sectors. 2, we have data processors. These are those who collect data on behalf of data controllers. Data controllers are those who determine the way and manner your data with them to be used. And 4, the regulator. This is where we come in. Now, the data controllers and data processors are the ones who have your data. And what we are telling them to put in place is that accountability. To say that if the data of an average Nigerian is with you, you are accountable. And you have to put in place that duty of care to ensure that the data is protected. Now, if there's any breach which has occurred within your database, within your system as a data controller, as a data processor, that breach will have affected an individual who is a data subject, or a group of people who are data subjects, who are your customers or your clients, whichever way it goes. Now, what our focus is for, 1, the data subjects. Because everybody is a data subject. Now, if you're a data controller as a bank, your telco, you're a data subject. Your hospital, you're a data subject. If you visit your hotel, you're a data subject. Any other place you go, you're a data subject. Because the moment they collect your data, you're a data subject to such an organization. And such an organization is either your data controller or your data processor. So they need to take care of this. So we are looking at what have you put in place as a data controller, as a data processor, to ensure that the data of the data subject is protected.
Yes. So
now we are focusing on both. 1, the part of data subjects to create awareness for them to know their rights. In terms of their right to be informed when their data is being collected, their consent to say, yes, I'm freely and willingly giving out my data to you to use for A, B, C, D. Right of rectification, to say if there's any incorrect or inaccurate data, my data that you have with you, I have the right to ask for rectification. Right of relation, okay, I've given you my data for this number of days. I know more, I don't want to do any business with you anymore. You have to release my data from my database or automatically provide. All these are your rights as data subject. But the part of the data controllers will come to them The duty that you owe these people is to ensure that you put in place technical measures in terms of firewalls, antivirus, encryption method that you have if you are sharing data with any other organization, and to ensure that you put this in place. Then in terms of organizational measures, your privacy policy, it should be simple, straightforward, easy to read and understand. Not all these lengthy privacy policy that before you even finish reading, you are tired, you just click yes. In terms of having a data protection officer who oversees your data processing activities to ensure that you are doing the right thing.
You know, nobody actually does short privacy policy, right? You know everything is always in small prints that nobody can read and does not have the patience.
Yeah, you know, we were talking before we came live. It's part of what we are telling them to do, to say you must have a DPO. But a lot of them don't even understand. When you have a DPO, it's your DPO that will tell you this is too lengthy. You must have a privacy statement. The privacy statement will just summarize who you are, what you do, the kind of data you collect, where your address is, the contact of your DPO. Now you cannot put an extension that will take them to the detailed privacy policy. So your privacy statement that should cover all you do, a summary of what you do. They will not want to have the detail. A lot of people will, I want to really see the cocoa in this thing. So I'll click to see more. I will now go and read the detailed privacy policy. But the most important thing is about the privacy policy. And this is part of the work of the DPO to guide you on how you structure, how you craft your privacy policy in a way that will cover and summarize almost everything that you do.
Well, I think a big story why Chamberlain, why will say we are having this conversation, or what has spurred this, is what we saw reported in one of the dailies about how MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies are shunning local data centers and are spending scarce forex hosting data centers abroad or patronizing data centers outside of Nigeria. I'm sure this must be of concern to you. Can I even ask, where do you host your own data? Because you locally. Are you sure of that?
We host locally, yes. You know, there's a government policy that all government organizations, all MDs must host their data locally. But now, in natural sense, we want to sit here and interact with organizations outside Nigeria. We want to buy from Amazon, we want to get services from a lot of organizations outside Nigeria. You know where your data is hosted? No. That was why when we were drafting this law, a lot of multinationals are telling you, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of cost of hosting and so on, it's difficult for them to actually host here. Now what do we do? And we are talking of cloud policy as well, cloud hosting. What do we do? We now say, okay, the best thing is, in line with government policy, you must hold some data locally. We did data categorization. What category of data must you host locally? And what category of data can you share? Your name, your telephone number, your bank details, we put it online. You don't know where it is. So you are transacting business with other countries. The world is a global village where we all interact from different. The global privacy assembly that I just mentioned, this is just a version. We attended the meeting virtually right from the office. You understand? A lot of things, interaction going on. So it's difficult to say you must do this, but in terms of categorization, that will clearly state this is what you can host locally, this is what you cannot host locally. And we have a lot of data centers that are coming up in Nigeria. Massive investment in terms of security, in terms of standard, in terms of the quality of service they are providing, they are top notch. And in terms of population, the amount of data we generate in Nigeria on a daily basis, they are able to easily host us. But in terms of interaction now, and that want to be globally competitive, be part of the global digital economy, you don't have a choice. There's some basic data to be hosted out. I'm not your name, for instance, your telephone number, for instance, your bank detail. You are going online, you put your data. You want to buy from Amazon now, you put all these data there. They are not hosted in Nigeria. But in terms of security data from classified government data, they must be hosted locally. And there's a government policy to tell that government data must be hosted.
So government,
and that's why we have Galaxy Backbone.
There is a government policy that says that data must be hosted locally, but yes, what the report is saying that no, MDAs are not really patronizing these local data centers, they're taking it abroad. Have you been able to understand why that is and what the reasons they're giving?
I've told you, a lot of them will tell you cost, which is really huge. Cheaper for some of them to host outside that because the cost of infrastructure alone, look at power alone. Most of these data centers, look at them, they run permanently on diesel. You know the cost of diesel now? In fact, they have to provide 3 sources of power: diesel, solar, and from the national grid. It must not be done for a second. And that's the idea globally. Some of them have it, but the cost of running is really high. But I'm not saying you should not obey government policy. That is the government, that is the direction from government, which you must obey. Even in terms of data privacy. When we started, we did a survey, look at the level of security that MDs are putting in place. In terms of compliance to the law, it was just 4%. That was why we went as far as visiting the former SGF's office, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. We obtained on the 7th of November 2022. That was about 8 months after we were set up. 8 months after we were set up. We obtained a circular that all MDAs was compliant with the provisions of the law. And within 2 months, level of compliance rose to 9%.
So what percent?
9% within 2 months.
From 4% to 9%.
And by we are doing that, we are carrying on that survey now to know what we have done this year. The most important is enforcement. If you have a law, there's no proper enforcement, there'll be a problem. So if you have a structure that can actually enforce and ensure that people do the right thing, there will be improvement. And even from the Office of Head of Service of the Federation also, on the 16th of November last year, we obtained another guideline, right, all MDs to comply with the provision of this law on data privacy in Nigeria.
How do you protect those local ones that you say they are setting up massively here from AWS, the Googles, and the rest?
The good thing is that they are even collaborating now. I can guarantee you can take this to bank, that some multinationals are working with some local hosting companies. They are hosting for government organizations and they are doing it locally because of the quality that it costs. But when you look at volume that they get from Nigeria, from other countries, kind of uses price for them.
So do we have policies and laws that ensure that we don't have a monopoly in that sector?
Definitely. For part of what we've been preaching, like I said, global competitiveness. Part of being globally competitive for you not to have monopoly. And it's free for anybody to come in. And if you get the necessary approvals, you get the necessary license, and operate in it.
Ayo.
Thank you, Chamberlain. Well, Mr. Olatunji, I just want to quickly ask you, the Minister of the Interior, Mr. Olubunmi Ojo, said recently that Nigeria is committed to investing in the harmonization of the country's data. And some of the things that you talked about now raises questions as to whether or not that is going to happen anytime soon, or whether we have developed enough capacity for it. Is data with INEC, data with the banks, as you have said, and then, of course, the Population Commission is also talking about the mother of all data. First of all, what's the plan from where you see it about this harmonization of data from all across the country? And do we have the capacity, the infrastructure to host all of our data locally, just as you're suggesting?
Thank you. I'm aware that the government now has a National Data Harmonization Committee. They are working together to harmonize all these multiple data sets in different organizations. And I think one thing that is really important about this kind of data is identity. And when you talk of digital economy, the foundation is actually your digital identity. And with what NIPSI is doing already, we are getting there closely. Now, NIPSI was established in 2007. They were able to capture about 39 million Nigerians in their database from 2007 to about 2020 or thereabouts. Then between 2020 and last year, they were able to move, they've crossed that 100 million limit. I think they are doing about 101 or 102 million now. That is almost 49% of our total population of about over 200 million. And the fact that an average Nigerian of that transactional age, that is, you can independently carry on transactions online in terms of wire, jam, banks, international passport, and so many other services that you carry on. You have a NIN, which is your national identity number, just like your social security number in the US or national health insurance number in the UK. This is the only thing you need now to obtain a lot of services. So with time, it's like we're in a journey. And we have started. We are somewhere now. Definitely we'll get there. If out of over 200 million people, we're able to have 100 million or over 200 million, I'm sure within the next 1 or 2 years, with what IPSI is doing currently, I'm sure we're going to capture almost everybody. And you bring in population commission banks and all these things. What you need is your name to be able to obtain any service. And what we need to do is to ensure there is levels of authorization of access. For instance, if you need something that is just as simple as your name or telephone number and your home address, you don't need to know the date of birth or any other thing. So it depends on the kind of access you are given. When you have your name, when you input the name in whatever system that you have. So it, gradually, in terms of data harmonization, personal data harmonization, digital identity harmonization, we are getting there gradually in Nigeria.
But you haven't confirmed whether or not we have the capacity to do all of the hosting here at home. By the way,
NIMSI has. NIMSI has.
Okay.
Yes, NIMSI has.
Okay. Now, in terms of going forward or looking forward, just as you have mentioned, you talked about cloud hosting the other time. What inhibits Nigeria from doing that? I heard you say that a good number of these Googles, Amazons, and all are partnering with Nigerians. But in terms of data protection, and perhaps part of your own assignment, you mentioned cloud hosting the other time. What inhibits Nigeria from getting there? Don't we have the capacity?
You know what I keep saying about Nigeria? We have a lot of crazy ideas, especially from our startup ecosystem. And a lot of solutions coming out from this country that can be comparable to anyone in any part of the world. Nothing stops us from doing whatever we want to do. The only challenge is at the level of ideation. How do you really translate this idea to solutions that can really address specific problems in Nigeria? When you want to do that, how do you fund this idea? When you were able to get the funding, what kind of infrastructure that you have to be able to do this? These are issues that you need to put on the table and discuss very well, and the level of expertise that you need to. So by the time we put all this together, nothing stops Nigeria from being globally competitive in any way. And that is part of the agenda of Mr. President. If you look at the 8-point agenda, inclusivity, which is one of the agenda. Then look at that of the Federal Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy. Innovation is key. Entrepreneurship is key. These are things that are really coming together. And as I said, we are in a journey. Looking at what we have under Mr. President's 8-point agenda, looking at what we have under the 5 pillars of the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, I'm sure in the next 2 years we'll be coming here to tell you another story.
All right, I know that there are several components. We didn't touch on the security bit. What roles do they have? What's their limits? They also have to comply with this law, security agencies too.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
It's not that they don't just run roughshod over everybody else. The laws are the laws.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess it's a matter that we'll visit.
You want me to...
Just briefly before we go.
Yeah, now, just about 3 weeks ago, we were at the headquarters of the DSS, and part of what we're trying to do with them is to ensure that all the security apparatus in Nigeria, bring them together, because even for security organizations, you say, yes, you have, because of public interest, at the level of performing your legal functions, you'll be able to have access to personal data, but their guidance they need to follow, which they're trying to develop with them. Who actually has access to this data? What level of staff are you talking about? What type of data are you talking about? How do you even share this data? What kind of encryption method have you put in place to ensure that nobody has any unauthorized access to this data? So these are some of the things that we do. And the law has empowered to issue guidance notes, to issue regulations that will guide whatever we're doing in different sectors. It's going to be on sectoral basis. In judiciary, the kind of parameters used to measure compliance be different from agric, different from health, different from education, different from security operators. So these are things that we're going to be doing as soon as we take up next year. We just started as a commission this year, so there's a lot of work for us to do. And I'm sure with all of us work together, all of us are partners. And that's why in our 5 pillars, a major one there is partnership and collaboration. And with all of us working together, we'll really move forward.
All right, we'll look forward to that as well. We do thank you for coming on. Dr. Vincent Olatunji, National Commissioner, CEO, Nigeria Data Protection Commission. Thank you for coming on. All the best.